Let me connect quick. Let's connect to the stream.
Lights out. You got a problem. Yo. What does it say? Sound in the chat, bro. Like, what is it? Let me put this on another tab. All that can go, I'm not gonna lie. All this? All this? I'm gonna just hold on, give me a second. Let me close out all these tabs on my computer. Running slow, you know what I'm saying? Baby cool. Someone just bring all the lights out. No problem. Height now. Oh, let me see. Let me make sure my stream's good. Stop, kid. Make sure my stream's straight. Baby cool. Someone just bring all the lights out. No problem. See this Cartier's. Hello? Bro, like, what's wrong with my setup? Is my mic muted? Let me go on my phone, because my computer is tripping. What the hell? Hold on. Oh, my thing is too close to mine. Okay. We're on a different account. History guy. Alright, bet shit fire. Let me sign in real quick, make sure everything is straight. I'm about to tweet it out real quick. Apparently no one ain't gonna have noties on. Alright, this is fun. Alright, bet that. How many people we got? Doesn't even show me. Does it show me on the OBS? 0 viewers, nice. But I'm really logged in my phone. It's crazy. Let's refresh real quick. Let's join live. Alright. Like, comment, and subscribe. Oh, I just typed that so dumb. Alright, okay. Alright, let me share. Let me tweet this out real quick. Would it be better to tweet on my phone? Yeah, it would definitely be better to tweet on my phone. Alright, let me go on my Twitter real quick. Let me plug my Twitter so you guys can check it out. I got a notification? Okay. Where's my... Alright, here we go. Look at the Twitter. I'm about to make a new tweet right now. I'm just about to share this live real quick. Share. Copy link. Or should I just... Yeah, actually, let me just do the Twitter thing, actually. Am I signed? Yeah, I'm signed in. And see pre-market stream. Don't panic. Yes, sir. Hold on, streaming on YouTube. What should I type? Let me have the chat open real quick. Where's my OBS? Alright, yeah, chat's open. Streaming on my YouTube. AMC price action. Join up. Join in, please. Alright, get my hashtags going. Hashtag AMC. Hashtag AMC not leaving. Hashtag AMC short squeeze. Hashtag AMC day. Hashtag hodl. Hashtag stock market and stock watch. Bet. Stocks to watch. Alright, just tweeted it. Let's go to Twitter. Actually, no, let's like it first. Where's Twitter? Let's refresh. Just tweet it out. Let me like it real quick. Everybody go like. I bet. I'm in New York, where we go. Alright, that video's already uploaded, so that's fine. That's cool. Okay, 2 likes. Thank you. What's the analytics on this? 35 impressions, dang. Some hashtags if you really want to know. Alright, hold on. Let me go to this account real quick, because this account actually has a good, I'm in the Discord real quick. Oh, people are talking? Let's listen in. Alright, bet. Let me turn on.
Capture a little bit more confidence, even in a lower sample.
I bet. That's the AMC Discord. It's so loud, bro. Alright, how does this sound? Let me go on my thing. Let me check how this sounds real quick. Type in the chat if you're here. What does that sound? Hold on. I'm checking on my phone right now if you guys can hear. 5 viewers. What's good, guys? Type in the chat. I'm pulling up, I'm in the AMC Discord right now. I'm pulling up my charts right now. Type in the chat. Say what's up. Oh, yeah, you guys can't really hear it. Hold on.
Analysis standpoint, but there are some that have done proper statistics on it,
right,
and it is looking good.
Type in the chat if you guys can hear
definitely
him
looking like there are certainly
right
more shares out there than should be in the free float, or based on the free float, or based on the float, I should say. So I think we can all remain sort of positive on that. The challenge is, and the question is, what can we do with that information? And I think we.
Oh, I'm dumb, bro. What? What thought it's due? Oh, I just exited out of everything. Oh my gosh, hold on. Discord. Sorry about that, guys. I'm sorry about that. Interaction.
Try to use, programs to assume there's this much out there. So true math in its form is the only positive, affirmation that there is this much out there. So I'm with you on that wholeheartedly. I just took it as, not just him, but several more out there that have been doing their math, and this was a sum.
Yeah, and that's the thing is when everybody, and when I say everybody, I mean those people who are doing proper math on it, proper statistical analysis. I kind of ignore the rest who are just coming up with, grade 2 or grade 3 mathematic formulas for it, because it just doesn't work. It doesn't account for a lot of the assumptions that are being made. But when all of those statistical people are saying, well, it's definitely over 513 million. Pardon me. One second. Oh, excuse me.
Bless you. That's a big sneeze.
Thank you. That was. And I apologize for doing that in your ears. I did.
No. It didn't. That was a huge sneeze. I caught your breath, and now you went, oh. God,
and
so
imagine I literally had turned my whole body away from the microphone. So. Matrix the Owl was saying that he prefers the 80-20 calculation. So that's known as Pareto's Law. And it just represents that, 20% of the shareholders are voting. And there's a number of ways that you can incorporate Pareto's Law into that. But yeah, all of those have their own sort of methods that do work. And there's a number of other sort of formulas that clear up the sample size issue. But we got to remember, in stats, every single assumption that you have to make will lead to.
We don't need the.
Shall I say a deviation from the fact? So it decreases the confidence level. But, you know, the point, I think, is there is a lot of math out there that's being done, and every single bit of math is leading towards the idea that we have more shares out there than should be.
This is my issue right here, is that the share count is only for the U.S., if I'm correct, that we're saying that they asked to do the vote on.
It's again another assumption that or sample size issue that comes into place, right?
Right, but then you have other countries that are not allowed to vote unless they have approval, I guess, from their brokerage in their country and so forth. Like, I believe it's Canada. If I'm wrong, please correct me. And other countries.
Well, I haven't been able to vote.
Okay, so the actual share
Canada.
count, and the actual shareholders, the members themselves, is not an overall true picture of what constitutes of the 513 million shares that are sitting with AMC, which is abroad globally. So can we actually get an accurate count without having all the input brought in, as opposed to a small partial from one country? Would you say that's...
Can you repeat that, just so that I can accurately understand what you're saying?
Okay, so we're only getting the count from the U.S. from what I'm seeing. Now that's what I'm believing. All right, the total count of AMC is 513 million shares. All right, the shareholders, I believe they says 4.1 million. That's abroad globally. Well, if only the U.S. was allowed to go ahead and enter their share count on Played, and that was excluding everybody from around the country, Germany, Switzerland, and so forth. You get the idea. So are we actually getting a true count of the shares that are out there? We're only taking a small portion from one country.
Bro, why are they playing this song? That's just weird.
If you follow me.
I do follow you, and again, it boils down to it's another issue with the sample size, right? So you're going to, though, be able to, if we had even enough sample size across the U.S. and across other countries that have been able to vote. So, for example, Corminator was saying he's in Ireland, and he was able to get his vote in. I'm in Canada, and I think there's broker specifics that are also at play here. My particular broker, Quest Trade, I still have not figured out, and lost the deadline on how to figure out how to vote my shares. So unfortunately, I was excluded from that mix.
Type in the chat if you're the guy.
But even if you're only capturing a certain amount, it's still just a percentage, right? It's still just a sample size. So I don't think that the mentality across the board is really varied when it comes to whether you're a UK or EU or other parts of the globe shareholder. So I think the mentality is there. So if we can capture a broad enough sample size and use good statistical analysis to create a good confidence level even at that sample size, then it's going to reflect the general numbers. So I don't think there's really any major issue with the fact that some countries can vote and some can't, as long as we get a big enough sample size.
With all this information that we're gathering, and it's coming in bits and pieces, and your just your opinion, we have all this. What can we see the results of? I mean, from a legal standpoint of the shareholders.
Yeah, that's the key, because even statistical sampling is not going to say 100%. We have more shares that are out there than aren't. So I think the result is we can't exactly just say, hey, here's a statistical analysis and give it to the SEC, and then the SEC says, oh, well, we never thought of that. You're right. Let's go and, crack the whip. No, I think what it does is it adds another element that we can have an extremely higher or a much higher level of confidence in the assumptions and the commitment that we've made. So that's number one, and that's the first step that we have to take in this, in my opinion, is, just keep that confidence going, right? Not confirmation bias, but it adds another element to the confidence that we are in this battle, we are in the right, and when things wash out, we will get what is due. So that's number one. On the other side of the equation, which is sort of the legal side, there's only so much that can be done with that information, number one, and I guarantee you they've got sharper statistical minds at the SEC doing these investigations than we do. Well, maybe not, but I'd say at least equivalent.
Thanks for the like.
And so we have to leave it with them. So their investigation into all of this and what can be done is simply going to take time, because they cannot go in and just say, well, we're pretty sure that this is happening, so we're going to start laying charges, right? It just doesn't work like that. They have to build a case. They have to make sure that they've got, validation for all of these things. They have to basically prove, just like anywhere else, or attempt to prove or believe that they can prove beyond reasonable doubt that this activity is occurring. But that falls on the assumption as well that what is occurring is actually illegal by the letter of the law. And that's where I am starting the other side of the fight, which is changing the laws. So I don't know if any of you follow me on Twitter, but I'm setting up a committee to begin with, and that committee's goal and responsibility is to organize a not-for-profit, essentially creating a lobbying arm of the retail investors. And that lobbying arm is specifically going to be pushing market transparency, market fairness, and changing of those rules from a lobbying perspective. Now, obviously, I'm going to need some help from everyone in the community within the next, number of weeks to a month. But the goal is not to cause a MOAS right away. The goal is to very specifically, support the law changes and the rule changes so that in the future, because nothing happens on a dime, we get equity. In the future, we have a fair and actually truly free market, something that we're not seeing right now. So the law is just a difficult area because you can't just take these ideas and the statistical analysis and say, here, do something. It's like going to the police with a gun in a bag and saying, I saw my neighbor use this gun to kill somebody. Here. Well, the police aren't just going to go immediately and arrest them on your word. They need to go through due diligence. They need to go through the process of law, and they have to investigate before they're going to lay charges.
I'm asking a question, and I hope it doesn't offend anyone out there. When the laws that apply here in the U.S. with the SEC and the laws in Canada, Germany, Switzerland, where we may be, do those countries have to abide by the laws of this country, or does the country intercede and say, well, this is our rules, our laws, and therefore our laws take precedence over the U.S. rules of the SEC?
It's the opposite. The U.S. law takes precedence because the stock is trading on the U.S. market. If AMC, for example, was actually trading on, let's say registered on the German market, I believe, which, there is an element that is registered there, but I don't think it necessarily abides by all of the German laws. Let me not get too complicated. The fact of the matter is the U.S. has jurisdiction over U.S. stocks and U.S. securities companies. Right.
I love hearing your comments. I'm sorry. I love hearing your comments. I love hearing your opinions, and it matters. So go ahead, please.
Yeah, just the basic fact is if the company is registered in the U.S., if the company has registered their shares in the U.S., which is what happens with AMC, all those 513 million shares are U.S. securities. Simple. So it follows U.S. law. U.S. law takes precedence over anything. Now, you can have a complaint from another country, for example, at the, I guess the international or the World Trade Organization. Yeah, that would be the one. I think, don't quote me on this, but if the World Trade Organization were to get involved, and we've seen this happen in other areas as well, where the World Trade Organization will get involved and say, hey, there's a bad trading practice going on here in the US that is causing harm to other countries. They can get involved and say, hey, we want to sanction, we want to do this, that, and the other thing. But that process is very different. They cannot go to the US and say, hey, your laws are bad, you need to conform to us. They will sit there, they'll debate it, they'll argue it in committee meetings and, at these board level meetings, similar to what you see with the United Nations, right? So it becomes this big sort of, you did this, and the US says, well, we don't care, this is our laws, and you can't tell us to change it, and it just becomes sort of that whole process. So most countries don't get involved. But at the end of the day, the US law is what prevails, because it's a US stock. One quick interjection. Bobby Chow was asking, currently on Say, do we have enough sample size as of today and the deadline? The sample size is really just about, the confidence level that you can have. And in a stock like this with such a varying amount, like if, for example, the voting was, if everybody was only allowed to have one stock, right? One single piece of share in their portfolios at a time. Okay, and that's how the stock market worked. And the Say application had, 5,000 or 4,000 votes out of 513 million. You can have basically a 99.99% confidence level in that. You can get that from a statistical analysis using, different calculations. But because some people have one share, some people have 1,000 shares, some people have 20,000 shares, it basically puts the spread at such a great level that you need to do some tricky math to get to a high level of confidence. So, I can't say that we have enough sample size to have 100% confidence. I don't think we'll ever have that unless we had 513 million shares, and even then it would still probably be at a low 95 to 99% confidence level. So we're really in the territory of making a lot of assumptions on this, but I think when all the people are making those kinds of assumptions, and I haven't seen any naysayers to the statistical models that I've seen that have any type of strength to them or mathematical understanding to those naysayers. So I have a pretty high level of confidence that we are at least over the float. I hope that helps. Roundabout way of saying, we can never have a 100% confidence.
It does help. I'm sure a lot of folks out there want to hear, your opinions. With your DD has been done so well. So I'm going to step back for a moment and just listen and let someone else go ahead and ask their questions. But thank you, Peanut Butter.
Hey guys, good morning. Want to say hi to everybody.
Hey, it's really G.
What's up, PB? I don't know.
Morning, my brother.
Good morning. How was the weekend?
Weekend was good. Busy but good.
Nice. You feeling good?
And yours?
Feeling better? I know you're feeling a little sick.
No, I wasn't feeling too sick. I was feeling tired, extremely tired. I had stayed up late on Friday night, and just Saturday was like, oh.
There you go. That's all that hard work, brother. Hey, I wanted to come up here real quick before I get into work and before the bell rings. I barely get a chance to say it. I say it in text all the time, but I appreciate what everybody's doing up here. Admins, mods, speakers, enforcers, everybody that posts us in DD. These past 6-7 months have been incredible. learned a lot about the financial markets and just everything in general, and it's all because of you guys. So just wanted to be real thankful about that and let you guys know. Just wanted to spread that positive love.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. And I agree, second that for everybody who's supporting the voice channel and the talk only channel, right from the mods, the enforcers to everybody in the audience who is just continuing the conversation around things. So well done to everybody. Thank you. And thanks for coming up, G.
Yes, sir.
You as well, man. Have a good day at work, bro. Okay, we're sitting at about 9:17. We've got a little bit of an upward trend back here. We have risen by another 30 cents or so. We're currently sitting at 32.85. That brings us to about 0.46% up on the day. Drops just a little to 0.4. But yeah, a couple of decent green candles that have been rolling out through the last 40 minutes or so. And we'll see what market open brings us.
Everyone?
Good day, Fumbles. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I was talking earlier, but I was wondering why nobody responded, but my microphone wasn't working.
That's why we didn't respond.
Good morning, Fumbles.
Morning. Yeah, all morning for you guys. Afternoon, almost here.
Where are you located, Fumbles?
I'm from the Netherlands.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you. Been waiting all day. Only 11 more minutes. And party is gonna start.
Phoebe, by the chance, by the way, have you seen any DD on three major banks kind of stepping back and gathering liquidity here recently, like Citi or...
I've heard a couple of things about people doing some massive sell-offs of gold, pulling back for liquidity might be that purpose, but other than that, I don't know. I haven't really seen much. Why don't you give me a Cole's notes, and then I might be able to give some input if I can.
One of them comes to mind is JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs. Now, that's just for me, just reading. I'm constantly doing research at different various places, not just one avenue, but many avenues. And they seem to be kind of just stepping away, backing off some. I didn't say anything detrimental. I just said they're kind of stepping back now. You can take that, in many facets, but that sounds the case of the liquidity issues, or they're backing off from this boiling pot. I would just say that has just been brewing massively, here lately. So I was just curious, you heard anything from that?
Yeah, I didn't actually catch that, DD, no.
Okay.
Yeah, so I can't really comment on it. I mean, if they've pulled back from certain stock positions, then that's one thing. I think we can articulate that or assume that has something to do with, either the stock itself, but it could just easily be that they're trying to close up certain long positions to have that liquidity available.
Was it because of liquidity, the test that was done recently, or they're stepping up on the liquidity test that has been... Go ahead.
It's possible, but that liquidity test that was provided for there, I don't think it actually showed that there was a lot of risk. I thought when that liquidity test happened that everybody passed, sort of passed with flying colors as well, which indicates that, okay, the risk level is okay, at least at the central banks and the prime brokers, or the prime banks, I should say, not prime brokers. Let me re-clarify, the prime banks. And those are the prime banks who basically, they're at the top of it all. So if their liquidity to risk is okay, then there really wouldn't be a need for them to, add huge swaths of liquidity.
Or was it a litmus test?
Well, that's what the risk test was, right?
Right.
It was. I'm not sure what you mean by litmus test.
A soft test to see. Of course, they did the liquidity test, but then you can do a litmus test, and that's just more or less just looking at it from afar and just seeing the overall response, and without going deeper into it and forcing anyone that falls short of that. Litmus test is just that. It's just looks at it from a small angle, just see what's going on, kind of like peeping inside of a window, a peephole, just see what's going on and back out.
Are you saying that the litmus test was that sort of market risk test that happened, or the litmus test was, the massive adding of liquidity?
Of liquidity.
Okay.
It was. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You know what would help for me to even give any type of analysis on it would be if you can link me any of the articles that you've seen that reference this this liquidity position, because I don't understand enough about it right now. I don't have an understanding of what they actually did to do this. Did they sell a whole bunch of stocks on the market? Is it in reference to the big gold sell-off, or is it in reference to a huge bond sell-off that they did to put the liquidity back into their pocket? So each of those is going to mean a different thing, right? So if it's bond sell-offs, for example, my opinion, and this is my very unexperienced or limited experienced opinion on this, but a bond sell-off represents, that's a scare factor. That's an area where, okay, you got to pay attention to, because bonds are extremely good collateral. So they act in lieu of cash, which means they're not worried about the bond market necessarily, or they could be worried about the bond market crashing, right? But if it's treasury bonds, then no, they're not really worried about the treasury bonds market crashing, because that's a very unvolatile stock, or equity security. Which means it just doesn't fluctuate up and down, so you're not going to get a bond crash. Those rates are set by the federal government and the Federal Reserve. So if they sold all of that, then what we can infer from that is that, okay, they're scared, they need money, they need cash fast. Otherwise, there's no reason for them to get rid of bonds, because bonds sit on their balance sheet and they're still a very, very stable asset, or asset class. If, though, they sold something like gold, and they had billions of dollars worth of gold that they just sold off, well, it could mean that they need liquidity, but it could also mean that they're worried that gold is going to crash, which actually indicates that the market isn't necessarily in as big a danger as we might think, right? If they sell off a whole bunch of long positions across other types of junk bonds or bond stock, then maybe, and ETFs, etc., then maybe that's an indication that they think the market is going to crash. So you see what I mean? Without the correct information of what they actually sold or how they're adding that liquidity, there's about 4 or 5 different reasons, very different reasons, that could come into the mix. So without those details, it's hard to make a valid assumption.
That's fair enough.
So yeah, if you can get me those details, then I'm happy to, have a read through and see what it might mean and give a tiny bit of a with a grain of salt analysis on it.
I'll be looking around. When I do, I'll go ahead and shoot you some info and on the day. With that being said, I'm going to back off the stage and let everybody else come on board. They have some questions they want you to answer for them, and everybody out there have a great day.
All right, brother, you have a good day as well. I see Sagathe is down there listening in. Haven't talked to you in a while, buddy. How you doing? I hope you're well. Not sure if you're trying to talk, but we can't hear you. A question from Lord Zion. When utilization hits 100%, is it squeeze time? Could be. High utilization means that there's less shares available to borrow. There's less playing room, and that could potentially trigger a lot of margin calls across the board, for sure.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
I am back.
Welcome. So what's cracking, Sagathe?
Nothing much.
It's very informative. G says, I love that dirty margin talk. So what are you guys up to? What's new? What's shake and fumble, Sagathe?
Not much, just back from work, took a shower, and back on the computer.
Very good. Oh yeah, Lord Zion's asking what the Ortex numbers are. Has anybody been around that has access to the Ortex numbers?
20 more seconds, and the market is open. Currently, the pre-market volume is at 1.2 million, and we're down 0.15%. Not bad. Looks like we're climbing up.
That is correct. We got a slew of green just prior to the market open.
The market is open.
Go ahead and take it, Fumble. Give everybody the play-by-play.
Let's see what's going to happen on that first candle. Battle has begun and we're ripping.
Yeah, candle's getting a bit of a nice green, but there's a lot of push down.
Current volume on the first candle still 300,000.
Just breached 3280. We can get above that 33. That'll be nice. 3285.
It's going rapidly up and down. First green candle confirmed.
We are sitting about 63 on the RSI, but it's going up and down. Yeah, I think the first candle ended up sitting around 900,000.
Looks like they really don't want us
exactly.
They really don't want us to get us close to the 33.
Sorry guys, I'm just about to edit the name real quick. I'm about to change it from pre-market live to.
Yeah, I think the first candle ended up sitting around
AMC stream. AMC.
What a fight!
Looks like they really don't want us to get. They really don't want us to get us close to the 33. Looks like they really don't want us to get. They really don't want us to get us close to the 33.
Big technical.
And there goes Birdie.
AMC stream. Big technical.
Still fighting in between that 32.5 and a 33.
Yeah, volume is not exceptionally high right now.
No, I expect a little bit more because we had a decent pre-market. Perhaps it's just like one of those other days that it's going to be a cup and handle movement.
Yeah, so far right now we're sitting at about 1.33 million on the volume. That's still fairly low.
Normally that's only the first minute you will see. Still fighting. It'd be nice if we keep above the 32.5.
If you're having trouble hearing us over the music, just whether you're on your phone or on PC, just click on Birdie. If you're on PC, obviously right-click, or if you're on your phone, just hold your finger down on the Birdie icon, and you should be able to adjust the volume. Technical analysis, a couple of the guys I follow for technical analysis, Lord Zion was asking what's the technical or the TA on AMC right now, whether it's suggesting a rip or a test first. A couple of the guys were basically saying that, we're at the bottom end of a rundown. It's the cyclical nature of stocks, especially the cyclical nature of how they manipulate stocks at the moment. So we're on that, very, very downtrend, that bottom side, and due to start moving upwards soon.
Looks like we broke that 33 mark.
Oh, that's very good. It's nice to see a green candle here. It's actually interesting because on the 1 hour chart, we were riding fairly high on the RSI for a while. And they really were trying to push it down, but they only brought it down to about 40. So now we're pushing back up past 55. Quite nice. We are definitely seeing quite a nice couple of green candles ripping us up, so that's positive to see. We're currently sitting at about 2.26% up on the day, only about 73 cents. but continuing to stay green.
Well, Terminator hasn't always been this glam. I was a drab little crab once.
Tony has provided me as well with some with a nicer roadmap again. The first resistance line is at 33.66, he said.
Oh yes, who's this? Tony?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I've been away for so long. Tony keeps sending them to me, but I just completely forgot. Do you want to go ahead and run through those full support, mid-break, and resistance levels then?
AMC's roadmap, strong support at the 30.61, normal support at 31.65, midpoint break at 32.62. 1 second, get a message. The first resistance line is 33.66, and the strong resistance is the 34.63. Looks like we broke the first resistance line. Had a small peek into that 34. Let's see if we're gonna hit it again.
What do you say, little buddy? Giant Hawk, coming up.
We've definitely turned green on the 1 hour. It's a very nice thing to see.
Just like you, I made myself a work of art. I'll never hide, I can't, I'm too shiny. Watch me dazzle like a diamond in the rough. Strut my stuff is so shiny. Send your armies, but they'll never be enough. My shell's too tough, my way man. You can try, but you can't expect a demigod to beat it, take apart. Pick it up, you will die. Now it's time for me to take apart.
We're still sitting just under 2.7%, and there is a bit of red action bringing us back down. 33.50 right now. It's interesting because volume started out fairly slow in the first couple of minutes of the day, and actually improved over the course of the next few minutes. So I think the first 5 minutes were at fairly low volumes, and then it started picking up.
Yeah, that's very odd comparing to other days.
ZX War said, do you guys think today will be T35, or do you think they covered last week? And somebody else can answer that. I'm not really a big believer in the whole T35 cycle.
Same. I think they have their own solutions to get around that those things.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yes,
we can hear you.
I think the T35 thing is going to come to a big nothing burger this week. And the reason why I think that is when we look at the price action last week and the actual movements, we saw a lot of sells with a lot of buys after hours that did not necessarily reflect in price action. That suggests that they were moving things around to reset those FPDs. So personally, I don't see that being a big thing, but I'm optimistically hopeful, I guess.
Very good. Kent Lord was saying, hey guys, thanks as always. What's the general sentiment on the share count votes? Seems super positive to me. The predictive models all seem super accurate. Yeah, I think I would agree. I think there's some good predictive models out there in terms of the share count votes. Obviously, I don't think any of them are at an extremely high confidence level. But at least the fact that they're all on the same page could represent that, as long as they're not all getting wrapped up in confirmation bias, it could represent that, we should be pretty confident that the shares that are owned far outweigh the shares that are available. That's my take on it. Do you guys have any thoughts?
Sorry, I haven't really been focusing on what you said right now. I was reading some DD.
No problem. I'm just trying to scroll back down and see what's going on. Lord Zion, what's the status on the DTCC rule, the 010? I believe it's NSCC 010, and the status of that, along with 803, is it's still in comment period. I believe I put DD out about that last week. Threw it into the DD and analysis channel. Go back and find it in there. 1.7 million in volume on the first candle for me. Nope. Not the first candle of the day. It was around 600,000.
Yes,
So
indeed. The
very,
first
very
candle with the 1.7 million, that's including the pre-market. And the
Lord
pre-market
Zion was
1.2. Sorry.
No, go for it.
No, I
Lord
just said
Zion was asking. Oh, we keep talking over each other. Sorry, buddy.
That's the problem between America and Europe, I think. Okay, your turn.
It was just a question from Lord Zion asking for a little bit of clarification on what Sagat was saying. Sagat was saying basically the price action last week made him believe that they were shifting things around so that they didn't have to worry too much about the FTDs without affecting any of the price action. So yeah, it was just in response to ZX Wars. He's saying that he doesn't think we're going to see much in the way of the T35. I don't think we've ever really seen much in the way of the T35, personally. Okay, so they brought us down a little bit now still. We're still sitting at about 1.3, well, 1.1 to 1.3. There's some big bounces going on percent on the day. So currently sitting at 33.14. Back down to an RSI of 50 on the 1 minute chart. And the last two candles have been red, pushing down. I've gotten to a point, honestly, guys, where I don't even pay attention to the minute-by-minute charts. I've resigned myself to the fact that it's useless. This is a heavily volatile stock, so I'm just sitting there basically saying, I don't care. I'm not going to sell. The price is not going to go down. And if it does, so be it. It'll eventually go back up. And I think that's the reality. Adam Aron is in a position right now where the company cannot go bankrupt. So the chances of the stock getting below $20, $10 is just absolutely impossible. There's just not enough short action on the planet that is going to be able to get past the number of apes that are holding So my low floor, you know, it would have to stick at $20 for, you know, weeks and weeks and weeks, if not months and months and months, for me to ever consider getting out. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, looking at the stock on a tick-by-tick basis, I think just gave me anxiety that was not necessary. So I just hold to my convictions and say, okay, well, you know, what's the price today? Who cares? It's fictional. The only way it can go is up, is my take on it. And personally, even if I had bought shares at $70, I'm not giving positions away. Let me clarify. I said, even if I had, you know, I am not going to sell at this price. I'm certainly not going to walk away from the table at this price. Not when I have full confidence and conviction that it is going to go up. Even if by some miracle of action on their behalf, it doesn't go up back to 70, you know, I'm still waiting for it to go back up to that 50 or 60 or 65 mark, because, you know, that's less a loss. But I think it's going to go up past that. I think with everything that we're seeing, the trends that we're seeing in the regulatory side, their runway is running out. You know, they're running out of ability to, as what's his face, Kenny G says, they're running out of the ability to just buy themselves one more day. It's so costly that, you know, they can't do it forever. And it doesn't cost us anything to hold. Akarasi was mentioning that there might be the AMC quarterly meeting streamed through Birdie. Is that true, Sagath? Have we been able to lock that up? That'll be this afternoon after market. Matrix and Night Owl were saying, even if the T35 was true, would 2 or 3 million shares make that much of a difference when the volume is 50 to 100 million in a day? Like, wouldn't it only change the price by $1 or $2? Yeah, I think that's a reasonable thought. And that would account for every single one of them having to close those FTD positions right away. So yeah, I honestly, I think the FTDs and, you know, the whole T35 idea, it doesn't really add a huge amount of impact. I think we need to, you know, focus our energies and efforts on,
state your name and power.
on really our convictions that the price is artificial at this moment.
The enemy in the head, or I burn them like so.
Next.
Hi, I am Pencilhead.
And I am son of Pencilhead.
Lord Zion was asking if FTDs are not something we are expecting. What else can help us hit the 50s without a squeeze? Quite frankly, I think that, you know, the lower the price gets, we start seeing price action spiking because new buyers come in. We have been on a downtrend, and that downtrend can only last so long. I think anyone of any level of intelligence knows that they can't push it down far enough. They certainly cannot bankrupt the company, number one. So if you think about it like this, they can't bankrupt the company, okay? They can only push it down so far before the apes that are holding create a massive block. You know, there's no way you can push it down any further than that because these apes are holding at that price. There's no more people selling, so therefore it doesn't, you know, go down any further. You're not creating the fear that you normally would. Count on those two things as being absolutely transparent to the majority of buyers that are out there, large-scale investors, small-scale investors, whatever the case is. So what happens when it hits, when everybody believes that it's hit the lowest that it can go? Then everybody starts buying in because there's only one way to go from there, and that's up. So I think that's what's going to create the catalyst to start bringing us up, is if we feel like we're at that low point right now. And we, I mean the majority of the market. And that includes, I believe, Citadel and the hedge funds that are out there. They will start to say, okay, we think this is the lowest that it's going to go. So what are we going to do? We're going to sell off our short positions because that's the best amount of money that we're going to get out of this. And then when that happens, it starts creating a reverse effect and more people start to buy, including the big hedge funds, including the market makers like Citadel. And they start to take the other side of the equation because those groups try to make money on both ends. They want to make money on the downside. They also want to make money on the upside. They're all about profit. So once that starts to shift and it starts to move upwards, then we're going to have a significant amount of buying pressure. Whether that brings us to 40s in a day, or whether that takes, a week to get up to that 40 level, that's going to depend on, a lot of psychology and the fundamental analysis that a lot of people are doing. So what I think I'm looking for is the today's quarterly reports, quarterly earnings, because that could bring in a heck of a lot of more buyers. It could cause a lot of analysts to say, hey, the narrative of AMC being a defunct company in a defunct industry, that narrative has been closed by this. They're making profit again. They have a lot of cash in the bank. So that's when analysts start to upgrade their ratings and say, hey, you know what? Let's transfer this from a hold to a buy. And those buy signals ripple across the market and start creating more buying pressure. So that's basically it. Jay was saying, buddy, it took me the rips and dips, 20 to 5 to the 70s to where we're at now to finally realize that it doesn't even matter tick by tick, week by week. It's evident we're not leaving. And that is absolutely the right mentality for it. Mortnex is asking for an Ortex update. I'm not sure if anybody has Ortex. Might want to put that up in the DD channel. That would be handy. I think Wellmine did one last at 8:45, but that's quite a ways away. How is it possible 1.7 million available for borrowing? We've seen those numbers before. Well, I don't think 1.7 million shares available to borrow is out of the norm. At least not too far out of the norm. Do you personally think we're done hitting under 30? I don't know. I don't know. I think 30 is the low end. Whether that's 28, we seem to have good support at the 28. There was quite a significant bounce off. The market basically said, no, we don't like that number. Or actually, if you think about it in the inverse, we like that number. If 28 becomes that buying floor, then, that's what it's saying as well, is we like that number. We want to buy at that number. And if they're really trying hard to keep the price down as low as possible, they're going to look at that and say, ooh, we don't necessarily want to touch that number again because that created the opposite impact. And that was very costly for us. Tony was mentioning that there's extremely solid support around 29.76 and 28.53. And I would say I agree with that. It's those support levels that that the market basically says, hey, you know, this is the bottom. Like, you know, go below this at your own peril, because if you go below this, you're gonna have, you know, a couple of million people all saying, hey, it's time to buy. That's a good price, right? Did I read that correct, that we actually had some institutions buy in or more when we were at the high 20s? Is that the buying power you also mean? Yes, absolutely. I think the large institutions also see those dips as a good price opportunity. You know, the reality is, if you're a hedge fund, or not a hedge fund manager, but a mutual fund manager or a bank, you follow a principle from a trading perspective of, you know, buy at the low point and sell at the high point. So if a lot of those institutions are seeing the low point being what we had last week, which was 28.50, I think was that low value, and then we boosted back up from 28.50 to 34.72. That was what was the percentage on that? You know, that's quite a good percentage of profit to take, even if they sold at that 34 level. But if you look at it right now, we're still sitting at about 33. I don't think they sold. Baron Ruffett was asking, could a hedge fund say, I want to buy at 28 per share? And Fumble, feel free to jump in on any of this, man. Like,
yeah, sorry, I'm eating in the meanwhile.
Okay.
Otherwise you will hear the
I just don't want you to feel like I'm, you know, trying to do all the talking and all the explanation without letting anybody else get a word in edgewise.
Oh, no problem. You're way smarter. You're way smarter.
No,
I'm just hopping in the empty spots and just talking about the price action.
Yeah.
How's it going, Jimmy? You said, will AMC short squeeze is going to happen? Yeah, I do believe the AMC short squeeze is going to happen. And there's like other things. If you want to know, I can tell you. But did you just want that answer, or do you want like why I think it's going to happen? Let me know.
But your knowledge of the market is a bit better than mine.
Well, in some areas.
For sure.
We'll bring Real2 back up, but there is a quick question from Baron Buffett. Could a hedge fund say, I want to buy at 28 per share, then go short on the stock and short it down to 28 to buy shares to cover at that point? They could, yeah. You know, if that's their covering point that they want to cover at, they could definitely short the stock down to that. And it's not just hedge funds; it's a lot of others. We gotta. I always try and encourage everybody to think about it not just as a, you know, it's us versus one party, the hedge funds, because it's a much larger psychological game. And I think, you know, if everybody points the finger at Citadel, then you're missing all of the other soldiers that are on the battlefield, and you're probably going to get shot or stabbed in the back. So what typically happens in these scenarios, in my opinion, is that it's a profit-driven enterprise. So you want to spend money to make money. That is the bottom line of all profit-driven, even not-for-profit-driven enterprises, is you spend money to make money. So the trick is you want to spend as least amount of money as possible to get the gains that you want. So to drop it down to $28 per share, if they were to do it all on their own without the psychology at play, then yeah, they would just short. And then they'd buy back all those shares to cover at that point.
Okay, so you said you bought in at 44. Did I make a wrong choice? In my opinion, I don't think so. As long as you got the right amount of shares you wanted, what I would have done differently, if that's what you're asking, was what I would have done differently was I would have bought just in increments. So I would have bought like less here. Like I would have bought like, say I had $100 and the share is like $20. So I just buy like one share each day, or say I got more than that. Say I got $1,000, then I buy like 5 shares a day, because you gotta limit yourself, because some days it might look like a really good chance to buy, and it might look like it's not gonna go down at all, and then other days it look like it's only gonna go down. That's when you buy. So that's what I learned in December or in January when I was holding this stock, and I'm just trying to tell you that information too. So hopefully you like that information.
For just positive earnings and positive earnings growth.
If you got any other
I'm going to be comparing.
If you got any other questions, type them out. Or if that helped you or that didn't answer your question, let me know.
I would say during a good point, back prior to the pandemic, I want to see what those earnings looked like versus these, knowing as well that AMC, the theater business, is a consumer cyclical business. And if you understand what that means is, consumers will go to the movies at certain points of the year more often than they do at others. So I'm going to be trying to look to compare what's the earnings today versus what are the earnings a couple of years ago prior to the pandemic, and where is it sitting? Have we seen a massive amount of growth, and to what can I account that growth to? I'm going to be specifically looking for some of the revenue points that came out of the.
You're very much welcome, Jimmy. All that I ask is that if you could please leave a like and subscribe on the channel, it would mean a lot. I'm telling you, I have a little goal of 40 subscribers by the end of the week, so it would mean a lot if you help subscribe and help my goal. And if you got any other questions, just ask them. I'm here. I'm gonna be here till maybe another hour, then I'm gonna stream at the end of the day. Also, I'm gonna boot up another one probably for earnings report, because there's gonna be an earnings report, and that's probably gonna affect the stock a lot.
I'm looking to see if it's going to reflect the price action it's going to bring in, which, by the way, you mentioned a while ago, Peanut Butter, about the emotional value. If this was organically driven, that's one thing, but I've noticed two things, is that 30 and 40 is their threshold. Below 30, folks start buying in. They can't control it. It's unstoppable. Kind of like when, well, you're on a freeway with no speed limit, so you can go as fast as you want. On the high side, when you get to 40, it gets out of control. And the hedge funds go, oh my God, these people are they're FOMO kicking in. So when FOMO kicks in, they start buying, price starts ramping up. So the kind of threshold for emotional value, where to keep these two prices. So to let you know, folks, what you're doing is correct. You should feel good about that, because you now have them scared. Think about it. You have them worried when they kind of get above or below these two threshold points. So that's what I've noticed. That's not fact. That's just what I've noticed.
Yep. All right, my friends, I am wondering if there's any other VC enforcers kicking around that want to cover things for the rest of the day, because I've got to get back to my work stuff. I'll cover a couple of the other questions first. Lord Zion, even if earnings brings more buyers, if they're swing traders, then we would dip again, right? I feel like earnings may push us, but we won't come back down when those buyers leave. Yeah, I mean, swing traders are always going to impact that, right? Even if it brings more buyers, at what point are they going to sell? Those buyers might not necessarily be apes holding strong. But if they see that we're at the bottom of the trough, then they're going to be looking for the top of the trough. And so the question is, where is the top of that trough? And if the top of that trough comes quickly enough or speedily enough, will that create a lot of FOMO?
So you asked what is earnings report. So earnings report is basically like revenue, like estimated revenue, like they make. So earnings is like how much they made like this year or this quarter. It goes by quarters. So quarter 1 of 2020, quarter 2 of it's like by the seasons, like fall, summer, winter, but it's like by quarters. And basically they just like show off their earnings and their like revenue. And if they beat earnings, it usually has a positive effect on the stock. So yeah, and AMC, it has an earnings report today, and usually those are good catalysts for stocks. Tesla had one like last week. It went up a good percent. Went up like $40. It was at like $640. Then now it's at like $700. So yeah, earnings reports could definitely affect the stock really well. I made a video on it like 3 days ago about AMC earnings. If you want to check that out, but it's not really that necessary. You don't have to. I would just like if you subscribe, but it's alright. Do you have like a good understanding of it now, or do you still not understand it? It's basically like their what beat earnings means is basically like they're supposed to beat like the estimated, like what they're supposed to make. And when companies make more than what everybody's estimating, I don't know how they get the estimations, but when the company makes more than what they're estimated to make, it's called when you beat earnings. And Tesla, they beat earnings. Snapchat stock, they beat earnings, and both of their stocks did really well. So it definitely does have a positive effect on stock market if you do beat earnings. But if you fail earnings, it's definitely gonna have a good negative effect. But I think AMC definitely had a good, definitely beat earnings. I made a video on it. Apparently, like it was like a huge spike in moviegoers in June. So I think it will be good. I think we definitely crushed earnings. Let me know if you got any questions on earnings or if I didn't explain it that well.
If that 20% were to run away and start selling, oh, you better believe that we would crash and burn. Like the price would be, a major depreciation. So it would just cause too much fear to create, a dividend. I know there's a couple of ideas out there on if you can create some type of an NFT dividend or something else that we'll get, but I think everybody's just kind of relying on those share counts as a way for the SEC to then take it and say, okay, great, there's more shares than there should be, now we can do something. But that's assuming that the SEC would be able to do something in the flick of a button, and they wouldn't. So I don't see any value in a dividend at this point. We're in debt. We haven't shown, great profit taking. We'll see what maybe happens here, but usually.
It's my mic. I'm glad you understand now. Is there any news regarding to Hedge covering their shorts? Well, basically, if you have Twitter, or if you're familiar with Matt Kors, they basically like tweet like the short interest percentage on the just on the day and stuff. I might start tweeting those out too if you want to follow my Twitter. It's not that deep. There's this thing called Ortex, and everybody uses that. Like popular AMC investors, they use that to calculate like the short interest and if we're getting shorted more, shorted less, and all that. So I recommend you just catch up on your trades videos if you want to learn about that. And Twitter, if you go on Ortex, their Twitter, they tweet out the new AMC like shorting information on that all the time too. But not any like new. If you're asking if there's any like new crucial information, no, there hasn't been any like amazing information, crucial information so far.
That's exactly it. I could not have said it better myself, Sagan. Is, you know, we have to have...
Brian Payne, thank you for the subscription. You just earned your diamond hands.
In the wrong place, and you're going to be disappointed. You know, these catalysts are long-term catalysts that we have to look for, because the market does not move on your dime. It moves on the collective dimes that go into it. So, you know, patience, guys. It's patience. It's patience. The trend is there. We know that, you know, there are more shares on the market than should be. Eventually, those will have to be covered, especially with all the regulations trending in our favor. And so we just be patient. And, you know, if you're patient and you wait it out, you hold to your conviction, then you're going to get paid. Hawk says regarding ER, it's going to be great if revenue increase and debt decreases. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the debt. How much they've paid off, or at the very least, what they've done to either consolidate or lower their debt obligations, lower their interest rates, things like that. That's what I want to hear. And you're right, those are the two things that a large firm cares about. It's the two things that any businessman cares about. Is, did my revenue go up? Did my costs decrease? And have I lowered my debt? So, three things, actually. And then a couple more questions. With potential for another lockdown, it is better to keep that cash than burn it. Yes, absolutely. That's where companies get into trouble. You guys know me, I've said this multiple times before. I think that we made a gigantic mistake by not giving Adam Aron the 25 million shares. Very, very short-sighted action on the entire retail's behalf. It's that sort of, you know, counterintuitive side of things. You know, we really got to think about it from more of the longer term. But again, yeah, you know, while we think that a dividend is going to magically do something for us, it is actually going to have the opposite effect if we were to push for that. I promise you. Like, if you trusted me in anything, trust me on this. Dividend is a bad move. I heard there's no way to trigger the squeeze, but what if SEC is telling the institutions they would advise them not to ask for their lended shares back until the new regulations are effective? The SEC is never going to come in. I don't know where you got that idea. The SEC does not tell institutions or advise institutions to do things. The SEC says, this is the rule, are you following it? And if you're not, then, you know, we got problems. They may advise them, hey, I don't think you're quite following the rules here. But yeah, they're never just going to go and make a decision or advise a firm or a company or an institution to do something that they feel is good. They're just rules. Apparently we're flying a little bit. At least we were.
Indeed, we have hit the 34 again, twice right now, but our lows are getting higher.
Yeah, so it's a nice double bounce off of that 34. Still at 33.67 at the moment. Okay, so it looks like Adam Aron is going to be going on another interview with Trade Trades tomorrow. Wednesday evening, sorry. Not tomorrow. 2 days from now at 5:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. To discuss questions about the earnings call. That's awesome. And trying to get through a couple of these last questions, and then I've got to jet off. Phantom was saying, yeah, I agree 100 million% or whatever it is, for sure. Yeah, just a couple of people are agreeing. G says that the 25 mil is a drop in the bucket. I agree. That 25 million, if he could have sold that into the open market, we would have scooped that up in a heartbeat. That 25 million shares, it would have done nothing negative to the price, and it would have given him another, well, at that time we were sitting at around 40 or so bucks a share. Let's call it 45 times 25 million. That would have given him another $1.125 billion. Another almost $1.8 billion to go towards debt. The company would have been able to clear out a majority of their debt. And that would have been huge. That would have brought on fundamentalist buyers. So yeah, anyway. Has anyone seen this from Rich Greenfield on CNBC Squawk Box? The reality is the short interest has really dried up. I don't think the short interest has completely dried up. I think current to Ortex today, we're still sitting at about 16% of short interest. So is it down lower? Yes, absolutely. But has it dried up? No. No, that's just ridiculous. And nobody really trusts Rich Greenfield anyway. Fight Isla was saying, not really agree with that since the shares only put in the market in 2022. Yeah, I'm not saying that he would have been able to raise it and sell it right away. I'm saying just if you think about the math of it, what could that be used for? And I don't think that they're going to be able to bring us down below 20 bucks. So even if by 2022 the price was, let's say 25 million times $25, that's still another $625 million that he could have earned. But having that as a buffer is a good thing. So yeah, no, you guys are right. I should have been very clear that I wasn't talking about an immediate impact. But looking at it from the value that those 25 million shares provide is how we need to think about things when we're shareholders of the stock. And personally, I think that that's one of our biggest issues is a lot of times we're not thinking about it as shareholders of the stock. We're not thinking about it as growth for the company. We're thinking about it as what's going to make it squeeze tomorrow. And I just don't think that's the right way to create the squeeze. The fundamentals of this are that there are more shares than should be there. Eventually those have to be covered. And there are more short positions than, or naked short positions, synthetic short positions than should be there. They will eventually have to be covered. So how do we get to that stage? It's not a tomorrow act. Anyway, that's just my thoughts, guys. Thank you for spending some time and listening to me thoughts. Samir's was saying, I'm pretty sure everyone in this Discord was against the 25 million shares. I think a lot of people were. I was probably one of the few that was for it. But yeah, that's the joys of working in a democratic environment, is even if I like something, the majority wins. And Adam Aron showed huge amount of respect to us as shareholders by removing that from the vote. I would have done the same thing. Okay, guys. I don't have any. Tony wants to come up, but Tony, I can't even bring you up at the moment because I have no other voice channel enforcers to take care of the stage. Sagathe, are you going to stick around and stick up on stage? Okay, perfect. Well, let me say goodbye to everybody, and then you guys rock on, but I've got to get back to some work. So have a good one this morning, guys. We are still up on the day, still looking green, and I think we're at our fairly low point in this. So I think there's only one way to go, and that's up. So let's go up. See you, everybody. See you, Tony.
You're very much. Oh, hold on. You're very much welcome, Jimmy's. Thank you for all the support you've shown this stream. Look at all the questions. Hopefully you can pop out to another stream. You're definitely welcome. And just thanks.
Looks like we're back at the 34. And seems like we're kind of crossing it this way. Just read in chat, GME is also booming today, already up 6%. AMC up 4% right now. Total volume of today is 18.3 million, 4 million right now. Still in this upwards trend. Indeed, Tony, if you're speaking, we still don't hear you. I still can't hear you, Tony. I see you turning off and on your mic, but perhaps rejoin this, restart Discord. Ask if Joe is available to help out. Well, Joe, or anyone else, feel free to hop in. If you would like to join me up here on the stage, just raise your hand and then a moderator will drag you in. Tony will try and come back later. Yes, I can hear you now.
I'm not too sure what was happening. I was yakking away here to myself for a few moments. Anyway, I was just going to make a couple quick comments when JB was there to tell him that I totally was on the same page that he was on regarding his comments on the new share issue that was taken off, 25 million. I also felt that that would have provided the company with enhanced fundamentals, which would have made the stock even more attractive to the institutions. But be that as it may, it was what it was. And also his comments on the dividend. Any company that would propose a dividend, unless they had sustained earnings, many REITs propose 8-9% dividends and are paying out more from the company's equity than what they earn. That's a clear sign to run for the hills. Respectable companies at the most would pay out no more than 50% of what they earned. So when you have a company that isn't making any earnings, I think the talk of a dividend is a bit of a dream, and certainly not in anybody's interest. I think PB was making that point pretty clearly. I had another news item I was going to comment on that might be of interest, and that was pertaining to, and I've lost it, but talking from memory, that was pertaining to Cinemark, one of the AMC competitors, and their earnings for the quarter ending June was up 158%, exceeding the analysts' expectations substantially, and I don't have that number now in front of me. But I thought that was interesting. They were up 158% for the quarter ended June versus the quarter ended March. And I only mention this as much as maybe what an indication of what we can expect from the AMC earnings tonight. Anyway, we hope so. The only other comment I was going to make is the numbers I put out each morning, again, is designed just to give you a bit of a feel for what you can expect, so you don't have to look at it tick by tick. You can look at it in the morning and kind of go, yeah, okay, that's kind of what's going to happen during the day. And those support resistant points are pretty accurate 9 times out of 10. Occasionally they blow through, and that's an indication if that happens that there's some very strong thrust either up or down. And the only one I can recall was about 2 weeks ago when it blew through the top resistant number substantially, in fact. Other than that, most cases it runs pretty true to form. At the moment, trading at 33.44, and that first resistance point was 33.66, so we're just slightly below that. Anyway, that's all that I have for this morning, and we hope all you guys have a good day.
I'm gonna take a quick break. I'll be back later.
Okay, talk to you when you get back.